Hi guys, Hero Comics here with episode 3 of Failed Games of Mine. After the problematic games we did in the first few episodes, it's time to take a step back. Time to go back before live service games were the plague they are now. Back when they were just gleams in the eyes of out-of-touch corporate conglomerates. Now don't get me wrong, they still made bad games, but at least they made them on physical media. If the game failed, then all they could do was ask for the disc or cartridge back. They couldn't erase it from their library and your system like they can now, which may be an important thing that the new failing developers are missing out on. It was harder for them to sweep it under the rug. Though even now, the footage of the game is online forever, so their failure is still visible. But that's for another episode. Right now, we're going to focus on one of the original failures in the game industry. The one that helped me understand later failures like Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. How companies will try to save face and hopefully course correct and make better games. Sonic 2006.
When I first saw you, I already knew there was something inside of you. Something I thought that I would never find. Failed games of mine. I look at you, not looking at me. Now I know why they say the best things are free. I gotta do this cause you're out of time. Failed games of mine. People all around me are not showing you love, and I have to join them cause of all of this stuff. I'll always fight you on your failed game crimes. Failed games of mine. Failed games. Failed games of mine. Failed games. Failed games of mine. Failed games of mine.
Okay, this game has 5 billion awesome reviews on it. You can go watch those videos later, especially Reres's, AVGN's, and Clement's. Mine is going to be a bit different. I'm going to talk about the worst aspects and how Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric is not as bad as Sonic 2006. First of all, this game doesn't really look like a Sonic game. It takes place in a town called Soliana, and they really want to focus on the town aspects of this game. You have town missions, and your goal is to save the princess of the town from Dr. Eggman, and 2 monsters eventually. There are 3 stories, Sonic's, Shadows, and Silver's, but you'll be playing as more than those guys in the game. You'll play as Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Rouge, Omega, Shadow, Silver, Amy, and Blaze. And while I like seeing single-player offline games with so many different playable characters in them, there is a huge problem. Some characters work better in these levels than others. Some characters like Sonic, Shadow, and Blaze move fast and can homing attack. Others like Tails and Rouge throw bombs. Omega and Silver can damage enemies by throwing things at them that are usually not bombs. And Amy has a small hammer she can flail at enemies with little to no effect. Some characters can double jump or have an equivalent ability. Some can hover a bit or glide, but it all takes some getting used to. Your characters are going to die a lot in this game. And not just because of their gameplay style. The physics of this game are messed up. During a town mission, Sonic has to go through rings. That's where you'll see he always moves forward when he falls. You'll try to have him go through a straight line of rings, and he won't be able to do it the first time. A straight column of rings. He won't be able to do it the first time. This will cause a lot of problems for you as you play through this game, where you have to have pinpoint accuracy with platforming so your character doesn't end up in a bottomless pit. And those are just the normal controls. Within this game lurks a control scheme that is one of the worst I've ever seen. Ironically, it affects Sonic, the best character to play as in the game. Of course, I'm talking about the Mach speed sections. There are 4 of them. They're always at the end of the level. During these sections, Sonic is forced to run forward, and he cannot stop. All you can do is have him move left and right and jump to avoid obstacles. If he gets hit once, he loses his rings. If he gets hit again with no rings, he dies. Every aspect of the Moxie section makes Sonic's playstyle worse. When Sonic runs in these sections, you have to angle him to avoid obstacles. This is really hard, especially when he runs toward bridges and other things with narrow pathways. It is very easy for him to run into those things and take a hit. It gets even worse when he comes across a wall. If Sonic hits a wall in these sections, he will take a hit, keep running into the wall until his vulnerability flickering stops, and then take another hit and die. When you see a wall, you have to jump. That is the only way to avoid them. But that leads to another problem. When Sonic jumps in Moxie sections, he can't change direction. And Moxie sections are full of cliffs and other places that will kill him if he goes into them. These are called death zones. They are normal in games like this, but there are issues with them here. One time, while Pokemon and friends were playing as Shadow while he was riding his bike, they tried to go off the path to explore the level a bit. Once Shadow got to a certain point, he fell over dead. Apparently, you're not supposed to go over there. Well, what a way to tell us. Why put a death zone on solid ground? Anyway, Sonic... this is crazy. Anyway, Sonic also has places he's supposed to jump onto and to jump off of to show off how agile he is. But unlike in future games, there are no markings on those things to let you know this. Pokemon and friends thought he was dead at first. A completely understandable thing to think when you see that jumping at the wrong time will make Sonic miss the posts and other narrow things he's supposed to land on and fall to his doom. He also can be sent forward onto looping pathways and either glitch through them or get sent into groups of enemies and fly off into the air like Team Rocket for Pokemon. Boxy sections suck. There was an item in this game that would have excused this gameplay style. Sonic also has snowboard sections. When he uses a snowboard, he can stop moving whenever he wants. That makes no sense either. If they gave Sonic a snowboard during the Moxie sections and let him run on foot during the snowboard sections, things would be better. But the way it is now, Sonic apparently uses his boost powers to stop and start the snowboard, and when he runs during the Moxie sections, he can barely control himself, which is weird because running is kind of his thing. Then there's Sonic's final gameplay style. In a few levels, Sonic has to carry Princess Elise in his arms. He seems to be saving her from Dr. Eggman, but he can still homing attack enemies. He slams into them like normal, but Princess Elise is right there. Maybe he has an energy field surrounding them? Still, it's kind of dangerous for a human. Then there's Tails. Tails' only attack is to use dummy ring bombs. Why does he have such an obsession with rings? I think it started with the game Tails Sky Patrol. In that game, Tails was auto flying forward. He couldn't jump into enemies, so the developers gave him one fake ring to throw at enemies and obstacles. In Sonic Heroes, they gave him 3 rings. He threw them, and they bounced once and then disappeared. In Sonic 06, Tails throws a bomb that sprays like a dozen rings everywhere, and they look like real rings, and they make things slow down in the game. There are 3 ways to throw them. Tap the attack button while Tails is standing on the ground, and he will throw a bomb in the general direction he's facing. When he's flying, you can tap the attack button repeatedly to bomb enemies with rings, and when you press and hold the attack button, he will go into first-person mode and throw bombs like a turret. That can give you more accurate throws, but Tails can't move, so he's a sitting duck. That's all his attacks, and his flying sucks too. Tails always moves forward when he flies, and when he gets tired, he drops out of the sky. That's dangerous. Especially over water. Knuckles can punch, glide, and drill, but not as good as he could in older games. He has 3 punches, but only 2 are good. The third one makes him jump and chop down, often over the heads of his enemies. His glide doesn't go as far as his drill attack can. Go as far, and his drill attack can hurt enemies, but not as much as it used to. He and Rouge can climb walls, but they can get stuck on them. Rouge can glide and throw bombs. And with the right combination of buttons, she can shoot out a whole stream of bombs. They can send enemies flying. I like this game playstyle, but I would also like to see her kick again. She could do some sweet martial arts moves. Also, she has to find keys. This is probably a callback to Sonic Adventure 2. She had to find things in that game as well. Thankfully, they aren't random like they were in Sonic Adventure 2. But if you've never played the game before, you're still going to have problems. For example, one of the keys is in a tower with a door that will not open. What you're supposed to do is destroy the stained glass window on the tower to get in there and get that key. But if you've never played the game, how are you supposed to know that? Next is Omega. He works pretty much like any other robot character in a Sonic game. When you tap the jump button, he will jump. Then if you hold down the jump button, he will hover for a bit. But there's a glitch in the game where if you tap the jump button to get him to jump and then rapidly tap the jump button, he will hover longer than he's supposed to. You can end up in places he's not supposed to be. The way Omega attacks is fun too. If you tap the attack button when Omega is on the ground, he will shoot an energy blast out that can damage enemies. A better way for him to attack is to tap the jump button and then repeatedly tap the attack button. That makes him jump into the air and hover while shooting energy blasts all over the place. And then they home in on enemies. He's great for crowd control. Next is Shadow. He plays pretty much like Sonic. He can only attack, but instead of hitting an enemy once, he can hover in the air and punch and kick at them if you rapidly tap the attack button right after the first hit. In If you use the right combination of buttons, Shadow will jump into the air and shoot a fireball. He calls them Chaos Spears, and they can stun enemies. When his power bar is full, you can make him go Kaioken times 10, and then his Chaos Spears can kill weaker enemies. He also can move faster and hit harder when he's all charged up like that. Next is Silver. He can't homie attack at all. He can't homie attack at all. The only thing he can do is grab and throw in objects with his telekinesis. He can also hover, but you have to be careful about it. The same power bar you use to hover is the same power bar you use to grab and throw things. If you don't wait long enough for the bar to recharge after throwing things and try to hover, he could end up falling into the bottomless pit he's trying to avoid. Silver can grab bullets and other solid projectiles that enemies shoot at him, and he can use them to damage enemies. He also can grab enemies, but he has to stun them first with his Pimp Slap. He eventually can get a jumping ground pound ability that can stun enemies a small area around him. He's not as powerful as he could be, but he has a lot of potential. Next is Amy. I don't know why she's like this. She only has one hammer attack. She can't attack from the air, and her hit detection is not very good. She has a double jump, but while the first jump is good, the second one has her go up higher than it makes her go forward. If you're not careful, she could fall into the bottomless pit she's trying to avoid. She can also turn invisible. It's supposed to help with stealth, but it just slows things down even more. Also, that's an SBL power. Last is Blaze, the cat. She can homie attack pretty good, and she has a nice jump attack. That can also be used as a double jump. She can also do a fiery spin dance move along the ground that can damage enemies, but you have to be careful with it, or she'll end up taking a hit. And that's all the characters. They all are reduced from the other Sonic games, and the reason why is most likely because of the town missions. They wasted so much time working on these things. The first one happens right at the beginning. You'll see a line of rings going off in the distance in Soliana, then the main hub world of Sonic 06, and if you ever play a Sonic game before, adventure game before, you'll say, "Oh, looks like I'm supposed to lightspeed dash through those." For those that don't know, a lightspeed dash is the ability characters that Sonic games can get that allows them to dash through a line of rings to get from point A to point B. It's a real Metroidvania ability. Seeing as you don't start off with the lightspeed dash, you could think about it, going back to places you were earlier that have lines of rings hanging around. Maybe those places have bonus items that can only be accessed by lightspeed dashing to them. But if you try to lightspeed dash right at the beginning of the game without talking to anyone or going to a store, Sonic will fall through the line of rings and into the water, and he will die. Then you will realize that you need to go find abilities to make your characters better, like a Sonic Adventure. So you'll run around and eventually find a store. And when you see the selection of products, you'll see that the Lightspeed Dash ability is available for purchase for a certain number of rings. But where can you get rings if you can't even get to the first level of the game? Why, you talk to Alberto Robert and do the first Hub World Town mission. Any person with a blue exclamation point over their head will have one of these for you. These are very important parts of the game. After you get to the Lightspeed Dash and use it to get to the entrance of the first level, Sonic is supposed to jump into a Mirror of Soliana, a magical device that teleports whoever jumps into it to a new place. Most likely an access stage in Sonic 06. This thing is such a ripoff of Mario 64. Minibot from the PokeCaptain Let's Play even said get in the painting during an attempt to get Sonic into the mirror. Because in Mario 64, he jumps into paintings to go to levels. And there was an easy way to avoid such comparisons. They could have used examples from Sonic Adventure. In that game, the way to get to different levels was more organic. To go from Station Square to Tails' house, you would have your character walk into a bullet train, and then the door would close and the train would pull out of the station. The screen would fade to black. Then the level would load, and then you would see the train pull into the station, and the door would open, and your character would go get out. They could have done that, or done something even simpler. Another way Sonic Adventure transitioned to a different level was by having your character walk past the pool at the hotel, and then go past the building and out of sight. A loading screen would appear, and then your character would be in the Emerald Coast level. They could have done stuff like that in Sonic 06. For example, to get to the Wave Ocean level, instead of jumping into a magic mirror, your character could walk toward the cave and run into a row of event tiles. Now, event tiles are special things that exist in all video games. They can be practically anything. Your playable character has an event tile under it. NPCs have event tiles under them. Objects have event tiles under them, and there are invisible ones. Those can be used to transition from one level to another. I played RPG Maker, so I know how that works. They could have a line of invisible event tiles at the entrance to the cave where the mirror is, and your character could walk up to them, and once they touch the tiles, the events they are programmed with would activate. Your character would stop moving, the screen would fade to black, a loading screen would appear, and then your character would be in the new location. But that's not how it happened. Most likely, they put the magic mirror in the cave, and then put event tiles on it, so when your character jumps at it, they will touch the event tiles and activate them, taking them to the next level. It's not my favorite, but that's how it works. Anyway, let's move on to how tile missions were forced into this game. After I take a drink of water. Let's see here. After the first tile mission, Sonic and Tails will go through Wave Ocean. They will run from a killer whale and flip a switch, which closes the gate so the whale can't chase them anymore. Sonic then goes through his first box speed section, and then a cutscene plays where Sonic and Tails see the egg carrier ship fly off, and Tails says, "Looks like the princess would move to a different location." Or another location. They then go back to town and look for more clues to figure out what to do where to go next, and possibly do more tile missions. You have optional tile missions and mandatory ones. There are ones where you have to fight robots and endless creatures, ones where you have to go through rings, ones where you have to have escort missions, ones where you have to do an escort mission, one where you have to find stuff for people, including dogs and kids, and ones where you have to unlock levels, you have to unlock levels in the game. And that brings us to another issue with this game: load screens. Each tile mission has 4 load screens. One for the text box, one for the mission, one for the result screen, and one taking you back to town. So, the characters are all reduced from how they were in other games. The town is used to pad out the game. There are too many load screens and other non-action stage things. The levels have issues, the boss fights have issues, and the story has issues too. I'm going to focus on the characters and story for this review. If you want more, then check out the many other reviews of Sonic 2006 out there. I recommend Clements and Reverses and AVGNs. And for a full playthrough, PokeCaptain's Let's Play is amazing. Especially when they beat the final level and sing "I Come From a Land Down Under." They're so good. Anyway, let's talk about the story. This is the craziest part of the game, much like Suicide Squad. And the worst thing about the story is the time travel aspect. In Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric, time travel is an issue too, but it's not as bad as Sonic 06. In fact, a lot of things are better in Rise of Lyric than in Sonic 06, despite rumors to the contrary. In Rise of Lyric, Sonic and Tails are sent back in time by an ancient computer thing called Maya. It tells them that they have to go back in time to stop Lyric to avoid a time paradox. It opens a portal for them to go in. After fighting Shadow, they go back in time 1,000 years, and after getting through a factory level, they stop Lyric from using his X-Men Sentinels to take over the world, and can also stop a turtle farmer from planting bad seeds into his farm. Then Maya opens the time portal to the present, and Sonic and Tails stay there for the rest of the game. In Sonic 06, time travel is used way too much. Throughout the story of Sonic 06, you see that if 2 anthropomorphic characters each have a Chaos Emerald, and they will hold them close to each other and say Chaos Control, that will open a time portal that they can use to go wherever they want and whenever they want. A lot of people don't like this because it opens up so many plot holes. If Shadow can do this, why doesn't he go back and save Maria from the gun soldiers that killed her in Sonic Adventure 2? Why doesn't Sonic go back in time and fight Eggman when he was a baby? Stuff like that. And things get even worse when talking about the main bad guy of the story. Mephiles can time travel by himself. He can make time portals that go wherever he wants, and he can take people with him. He took Shadow and Rouge and himself to the future, and took Silver, Blaze, and himself to the present. But for some reason, he never goes to the past, with the Solion disaster, to fuse with Iblis to become Solaris again. He waited until near the end of the game, of the story, to do it. Maybe he was busy gathering Chaos Emeralds? But the game never explains that. The time travel aspect of Sonic 06 is the worst part of it. Even worse than the romantic aspect of Sonic and Elise' relationship. That could have been fixed by making her a hedgehog. Anyway, Sonic's 06 was horrible, but it only gets a misstep score on my failed game scale. Why? Because they learned their lesson. First, they erased the game from Sonic history, and then made better games. Sonic Unleashed has issues, but it was better. It played better, especially during the day, and the first cutscene was not a silly princess freaking out over dark visions of the future. It was Sonic fighting Dr. Eggman. And then they made more games. Sonic Colors, Sonic Generations, Sonic Lost World, Sonic Forces, and Sonic Frontiers. They learned from their mistakes and got better. I hope certain companies like Rocksteady do the same. You can learn a lot from failure, but only if you're willing to. And speaking of that, there's one more thing I have to talk about involving Sonic 06. Fans have made a game called Sonic P06. It's basically a collection of levels from Sonic 06 that are improved by fans using a different game engine. Sonic and friends work a lot better in this game than in Sonic 06, and there are even scenes before levels start of them meeting up and getting ready to go through the level together. Fan mods are doing great things nowadays. The AAA developers have their work cut out for them to keep up. Now it's time to roll the footage of Shane highlighting the worst parts of Sonic 06.
When I first saw you, I already knew there was something inside of you. Something I thought that I would never find. Failed games of mine. I look at you, not looking at me. Now I know why they say the best things are free. I gotta do this 'cause you're out of time. Failed games of mine. How you changed my world, you'll never know. I'm different now. You helped me grow. People all around, they are not showing you love. And I have to join them 'cause of all this stuff. I'll always fight you on your failed game crimes. Failed games of mine. Nothing means more to me than what we share. No one in this whole world can ever compare. And still the way you failed is still on my mind. Failed games of mine. What you mean to me you'll never know. Deep inside I need to show people all around they are not showing you love. And I have to join them 'cause of all this stuff. I'll always fight you on your failed game crimes. Failed games of mine. I never knew I could feel this moment as if it were new. Every breath that I take, each law that you break, I'm gonna share it with you. You. When I first saw you, I already knew there was something inside of you. Something I thought that I would never find. Failed games of mine. People all around, they are not showing you love. And I have to join them 'cause of all this stuff. I'll always fight you on your failed game crimes. Failed games of mine. How you changed my world, you'll never know. I'm different now. You helped me grow. I look at you, not looking at me. Now I know why they say the best things are free. I gotta do this, 'cause you're out of time. Failed games of mine.
Now it's on to other games I have footage of. My internet is down right now, so I may have to put the show on hold for a little bit. Other reviews will continue though. Until then, check me out on YouTube and DeviantArt. Now, excuse me, I'm going to enjoy watching one of the best things to come from Sonic 06.
That is it. There's a second thing, and that's how you get past that thing, and past that, it's just
Easy.
language. He just smiled and gave me a very much sandwich.
And he said,
I come from under.
"Who's this Lord Manchunda?
Oh, you're supposed to be that thunder.
You better take cover." Yeah.
Come on, save your